Welcome, wait. All right, 1, 2, 3.
Hi, it's me, Noreen from Cruising with the Ryans. I'm very excited to have a guest with us tonight who has been several weeks on the Brilliance of the Seas with us, and he's our featured comedian, Greg Beck. Greg, thank you so much for taking time out after your show tonight to do
Noreen,
this.
I've been looking forward to this. From the moment you two mentioned it to me, I was like, I can't wait to do the interview, so it's my pleasure. Thank
Well,
you for having
thank
me.
you, thank you. We're very excited about this. So, you have probably been a comedian for quite some time.
Yeah, about
And-
30 years.
And we have heard that you have performed in a number of different places and you do cruise ships, but you also, where do you live now?
I live in Vegas.
Okay, and do you perform there sometimes?
Yes, I do. But lately I've been so busy with the cruise ships that I'm hardly home.
Oh, wow. Well,
So,
that's a good thing, right?
That's a very good thing because I'm working and I
Sounds
love
like us.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a wonderful thing. So, tell us a little bit about how you became a comedian and how you got involved with cruise ships, because that fascinates me. You know, did they find you, or did you stumble upon it as a career? Tell us a little bit about
All right.
that. Yeah.
Well, I started taking acting classes years ago, kind of on a whim. And in that acting class, one of the classmates, a guy named Gary Valentine, and Gary was starting to do stand-up comedy. And he's like, you know, I do comedy and improv at the comedy class. Why don't you come with me one night? So I did.
Wow.
And I went and started taking the improv class. And then I was doing that for a while. I was like, why don't you do stand-up? Everybody else is doing stand-up. So I just I had been thinking about it, was writing some things down, and one night went up, I think I did 3 minutes. It seemed like an eternity when you've never done it. 3 minutes, I'm like, how am I gonna fill 3 minutes? But I did the time, it went fine, got off stage, learned a lot, although I gotta be honest with you, I don't really remember much of it. It was really just frightening, but fun at the same time. I remember
This was
doing
in a
it.
little comedy club
It was a comedy club called Eastside Comedy Club on Long Island, New York,
in New York.
which
Okay.
was a legendary club.
Okay.
Richard Minervini.
So how many people would be in the audience?
Oh, that night.
I mean, how big
you know,
was the
this
venue?
was,
Yeah.
oh, I probably a couple hundred seats, and I would
Okay.
say we used to, maybe not quite that big, but it was packed. I remember that.
Oh, that's good.
It was packed. That was back in the late '80s. The comedy was still really rolling, and clubs were packed.
So they laughed, right? People laughed.
Of course.
And so, how did that make you feel?
It's a very interesting feeling when you go up in front of a room full of strangers as opposed to your friends and family. Everybody thinks they're funny at work or funny at the reunion or whatever. You go up in front of a room full of strangers who expect you to be funny, and they want you to be funny, but they
Right.
expect it.
Yeah.
So you got to deliver. And they also knew the crowds were savvy. They knew, okay, this is open mic night.
Okay.
So there's going to be a lot of newbies. There might be some people who are professional going to come in and try to work out some material. But they were very supportive. And it was also a very supportive community. Long Island had a very supportive comedy community. The veteran comedians who were headliners would always help us out and give us tips. And it was like that
Oh, that's
in other
cool.
places too. Yeah, like Chicago had a very supportive community. Boston, different areas would have these communities that would just really help you out. And give you tips and advice and try to rewrite it this way or say this instead or whatever the case was. So it was a great feeling, but honestly, I kind of walked off stage thinking, oh my God, I survived.
Yeah.
I did my 3 minutes and I survived.
And so, what did you do after that? Did you keep at it?
Kept at it. Kept
Same
at it.
place, or
Well,
move around?
Long Island had several comedy clubs that were full-time working comedy clubs, Governors. We had Chuckles at the time, the Brokerage, which is still around. So Eastside Comedy Club and Chuckles are gone, but we still have Governors, and we have the Brokerage, and then we have McGuire's, which is another club that we used to do a lot, and that would be out east on Long Island. So we would do, most of them were wet, kind of Nassau County, out in Long Island, and then McGuire's was out east. McGuire's is still going. So, yeah, you just do the open mics. You know, you just sign up.
That, yeah. So how did you? Well, you did mention though. I think as maybe we were talking before this interview, that you've done some acting.
Mhm.
You were taking acting classes
Right,
when all
right.
this started. So tell me about your acting. What did you do, or how long did you do that?
Well, I studied acting class for a while, and I've taken several classes since then. And I love it. I love it. I've done sitcoms. I was on The King of Queens.
Oh wow! Yeah,
Yeah, it was
that's
phenomenal.
A great show, yeah.
I did a little thing on a show called Hope and Faith.
Oh yeah.
Years ago, I did a little.
I remember that.
That was a lot of fun. And I've done. I did a show called Ed, which was a David Letterman production.
Ah,
So I got to
okay.
meet John Goodman. He was on the episode, and everybody was really great. And then I've done a bunch of Law and Order SVUs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
those
that's
are great.
Oh my gosh, just a first-rate organization. Everybody was just phenomenal. The actors, the director, everybody was great. And I was also in a movie called Paul Blart Mall Cop 2
Oh, I remember that.
with Kevin James, who's
Yes.
Gary Valentine's brother. So that's
Oh,
how I met Kevin.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so I was in Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, and I had a really fun scene with Kevin, and it was just, I loved it.
Which mall was that? Was that the Mall of America?
They shot.
Minneapolis?
No, they shot it.
No, I thought it was.
They shot. You know what? They shot those scenes, I believe, in Vegas. I know the scene I
Maybe,
was in.
yeah.
Yeah, because they were in Vegas.
Yeah,
so they
yeah.
must have. But
Okay.
I don't know. But I did a scene with Kevin at the Wynn.
Oh,
That's where
yeah.
our scene was. And I don't know really where they did the rest of it. But
Yeah, it could be anywhere. It could have been the first one. You know, that was
Oh,
number 2.
okay.
Maybe I'm thinking of
Yeah,
numbers.
maybe that's it. You know, if
I'm
it's-
not very good at remembering stuff.
So that's where that was phenomenal.
So you were doing that in between doing the comedy, or were you doing
Yes.
one and then switched to the other?
Well, sometimes you don't know when opportunities arise.
Well, that's true.
You know, so I was working. Probably was on a ship, and I got a call from a guy named Rock Rubin, who's a great guy and friends with Gary and Kevin on it. And he's a great writer. Wrote a lot of the King of Queens episodes. And he called me and said, I think he sent me an email. Hey man, you want to be in the movie? Like, who would say no?
Yeah, right.
So, like, absolutely. When are the dates? And so they sent me the dates, and you have to do costume fitting, and then I think we did 2 days of shooting in Vegas. So it worked out great. You know, it worked out great that I was able to do it. And so sometimes things come up when you least expect
Yeah.
it.
So do you have, at some point in time, you got an agent? Is that how that works?
Yes,
And
I have
so
an agent.
You have someone that gets bookings for you. And
Well, they
takes
can try to
care
get you auditions and things
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. But they knew me from having done The King of Queens. I think that helped
Yeah.
a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I live in Vegas, so it was right there.
Yeah.
So I had a few weeks notice, so to speak. Shot the movie, and it was great.
When did you start doing comedy on the cruise ships?
Well, several years ago, well, more than maybe 10 years ago, I did a few shows on ships, and then through that, I met someone who was a dancer in the show in Vegas, Dory, and she actually got me hooked up with Royal Caribbean,
Oh, cool.
and I haven't looked back, and that was
Yeah.
7 years ago, maybe.
Okay, so
Something like
you've
that.
been on a number of different little ships. I think I remember you
Yes.
from some. I can't
Yes.
remember which ones.
I've done quite a few. Royal Caribbean's been phenomenal to me.
Yeah,
And I am-
comedy clubs on the Oasis class
Oasis
down
class.
in, yeah.
That's a different little thing than we had tonight. That's
Sure.
You're in a comedy club, which is what we're used to.
Yeah,
You know, we're
that's
used
like your bread and butter that
Yeah.
you grew up with, right?
Yeah, you used to work
So-
in comedy clubs.
And I think they built those venues on that class of ships for that purpose.
Oh, okay.
I think they did. I
That
mean,
would-
I don't know.
that
They
would
didn't
make
tell me
sense.
that, but it would make sense.
Yeah.
Because it puts you in that same environment. You're close to the audience, and you can go back and forth and ask questions and
We-
kind of kid around with people, and
Well,
it's
yeah,
great. That's
you know,
it works out wonderful.
It works out really well, and it's an adult show,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
no complaints, no, I mean, they
So,
even tell
and you do
that-
two types of shows. You do the family-friendly show like you did tonight,
Mhm.
the what do you call it? The
Farewell.
show.
Farewell.
Farewell show.
So on this cruise, I did a welcome aboard, which
Right.
is family friendly.
Right.
Then I did my late night adult show midweek,
Right.
which I could really just
Yeah,
be
you can
myself.
say anything and do whatever.
Yeah. And then tonight was the farewell,
Yeah,
which was the same as welcome.
Yeah, it kept you busy, yeah. Plus, you got to see some different cities, right?
This was I love coming to Alaska.
Yeah, it's
It's
so
truly-
different than when you're on cruise ships a lot, which we are too. You tend to go to the same places quite often, and when you go to a different set of ports, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
You know, we went to Haines for the first time.
Me too.
Well, you too, I think. Yeah.
And
So,
everybody was saying how much they loved Haines. I
Yeah.
loved it.
What a great little town.
Beautiful place.
Really great
You
town.
know, 1,932 people.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
Who would think that a big ship brings more than the total population to that
That's
little
true,
city,
right? When you think
know?
about it, we more than
Between
doubled
all
the
the
size.
crew and all the passengers, I mean, that's probably close to 4,000 people. Not that everybody got off the ship, but
No.
but even so, even if half of them got off the ship, they doubled the
That's true.
population
When
in
you-
Haines.
It's true, Noreen, when you think about that. Wow, I didn't think about that, but it's all of a sudden, boom.
It's kind of crazy.
But I love towns like that.
Yeah, yeah,
You
it's so
get
different.
you get that kind of small town feeling
Right.
and an appreciation for the fact that we're there.
Yeah.
And we're
they
going
love
to-
the fact that all these people show up. I'm sure it's great for their economy.
Absolutely.
So
Because
it's a
I've been
wonderful
to,
thing, yeah.
like, as you, I'm sure, I've been to Juneau, Sitka, Skagway, Ketchikan, with all those.
Right.
And then when I
we've
saw-
never been to Haines.
Never been to Haines.
And here we are.
And
Yeah,
it was
we just got
wonderful.
there.
They're all, I love all of them.
Yeah.
But maybe because I was never there before, or maybe because it was just really a small town.
Well, and it was a perfect day. The weather was great. You know, we had a little bit of weather in some of the other places that we visited over the last few weeks. And now it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty cool to have a really great day. And then you ran into people you knew.
That was
from
amazing.
your past life.
No, here's the thing, I didn't know them. I
No,
met,
no,
I met
you
two
didn't,
great
yeah.
ones, Jen and Lori, walking back to the ship on the pier in Haines.
In Haines, yeah.
They heard the security guard say my name. They turned around. They said, "Oh, there's the comedian." They waited to say hello. We started chatting. We went to high school together.
Isn't that crazy?
They were just
Yeah.
one.
You
they-
would just like never expect to run into somebody that had that same background that you did. It's
Unbelievable.
Crazy. Yeah.
And there they
You
were.
never-
I didn't know them. They didn't know me.
No, you meet the nicest people on cruise ships. You
Yes.
have the best time getting acquainted with people from all over the world. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a global kind of venue. There's people from everywhere. I mean, there's people that started on this ship in Australia
Yeah.
and New Zealand.
Yeah.
And they're still here experiencing Alaska, maybe for the first time.
Yeah.
And then there's people from everywhere imaginable. I hear more foreign languages than I don't even know which language they are. You know, is it Chinese? Is it Japanese? Is it German? Is it Polish? Is it Russian? Is
Right.
it Ukrainian? What is it?
Yeah.
And they're having a great time, and everybody gets along. You know, it's just really wonderful.
I think that's one of the maybe the best part about cruising is that you really meet some interesting people. Sometimes you meet people you grew up with.
Yeah.
Sometimes you meet people from halfway around the world.
Right.
And we have so much more in common
Exactly.
than
Sure.
we're given credit for. And I can't stand that. People are just people. And there are a lot of, like on this ship, a lot of Australian,
Yeah.
a lot of Chinese,
Right. People
the
from
Europe. I mean,
a lot of Canadians, of
lot
course,
of Can-
because of Vancouver.
right, a
But-
lot of Canadians. I mean, you really meet people from all over the place. And it opens your mind,
Yeah.
and you
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
open their mind a little bit too.
For
I
sure.
love that part of it.
Yeah, yeah, for
I
sure.
really do.
So you're headed home, and so what's the next cruise you're going to be on? Do you know?
I go home tomorrow, and on Wednesday I fly to Tampa to get on the Grandeur,
All right.
and I'll
That's
do that.
great.
And then I'll be back.
One of our favorite chips.
Yeah.
The grandeur?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
We
the
spent
grandeur.
Christmas on the grandeur
Oh, okay.
this past year.
So I'll do that, and then I'll be on there for a couple weeks, and then June 3rd, I come back. I fly to Seattle, get on the Quantum,
Okay.
another Alaska run.
Right.
Although I already looked, Haynes is not on the itinerary.
Oh, that's disappointing, right?
And, yeah,
Once
then I
you-
go home.
Once you fall in love with the
Well-
little town, you know, it's cute to go back to.
Well, here's the thing. It's a small little town that I think I could go to every single week if I had to, with no
Okay.
problem.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
With no problem.
Exactly.
At all. I just love
would
it.
be wonderful.
And then I come back on the Brilliance on June 30th.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Listen, we probably have taken out more of your time than we should.
No.
But we really, really appreciate getting to know you and doing back-to-backs with you for a few weeks
That was
now.
great.
And the fact that you agreed to let us interview for our YouTube channel
Oh.
is amazing. We're just really
And,
thrilled that
and
you
thank
did
you
that.
for being a new friend.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you both, because when you asked me to do this, I was honored and looking forward to it. And you
So-
should like and subscribe, right? Cruising
Oh.
with the Ryans?
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you so
Oh
much.
my gosh.
Like and subscribe.
I didn't even have to ask you to say that. Thank you so much, Greg.
My pleasure. Great meeting both of you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
much.
all right. Smooth sailing. And remember, have great vacations. And thanks to Greg for giving us this great interview tonight. It's been fun.